sound of gentle lapping water which quickly turns into the sound of thousands of frogs croaking. Hey everyone, let's talk about one of the wildest chapters in the Bible, Exodus chapter 8. Seriously, this chapter is like a blockbuster movie. It's got plagues, stubborn kings, and a showdown of epic proportions. So picture this. Moses and Aaron are back in front of Pharaoh. God has already turned the Nile River to blood, and you'd think that would be enough to convince Pharaoh to let the Israelites go. But nope, Pharaoh's heart is hard. He's like, nice trick, but I'm not impressed. So God tells Moses, all right, time for round 2. He instructs Aaron to stretch his staff over all the waters of Egypt, the rivers, the canals, the ponds, every single body of water. And what happens next is something straight out of a bizarre dream. Frogs, not just a few frogs, a tidal wave of frogs. The Bible says they swarmed out and covered the land. They were everywhere. Imagine waking up and there's a frog in your bed. You go to the kitchen to make breakfast, and there are frogs in your oven and kneading bowls. You can't walk without stepping on one. You can't sit without one hopping on your lap. The constant deafening sound of ribbit, ribbit, ribbit from millions of frogs day and night. It would have been maddening. Even Pharaoh in his palace couldn't escape it. Frogs in his throne room, frogs in his bedroom. It's a level of infestation that's almost comical, if it weren't so terrifying and disgusting. At this point, even Pharaoh's own magicians, who had managed to replicate the blood in the water trick, can make more frogs appear. But here's the thing, they can't make them go away. They can only add to the problem. It's easy to create chaos, but it's much harder to restore order. Pharaoh is finally at his breaking point. He calls for Moses and Aaron and says, okay, you win. Pray to your God to take these frogs away, and I will let your people go to sacrifice to the Lord. So Moses asks Pharaoh, when do you want me to pray for the frogs to leave? And Pharaoh says, tomorrow. It's a strange detail, right? Why wait another night with all those frogs? Maybe he was testing God's power. Or maybe he was hoping they'd go away on their own so he wouldn't have to give God the credit. The next day Moses prays, and just as God promised, all the frogs in the houses, the courtyards, and the fields die. The living nightmare is over. But a new one begins. The Egyptians have to pile up the dead frogs into massive heaps, and the Bible says the whole land stank from the rotting bodies. Can you even imagine that smell? And what does Pharaoh do now that the immediate crisis is over? The moment he gets some relief, he goes right back on his word. The text says, he hardened his heart and would not listen. So God isn't done. He sends the third plague, gnats, or some translations say lice. Aaron strikes the dust of the ground with his staff, and all the dust turns into tiny, biting insects that swarm over people and animals. This time, Pharaoh's magicians are stumped. They try to replicate it,